are here with Rambo Amadeus, whose 2012 song, Euro Nero, represented Montenegro at Eurovision. Rambo, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Your artist name, Rambo Amadeus, is an amalgamation of John Rambo and Amadeus Mozart. And initially, when you released Otugo Yesenia, you introduced yourself as Nagieb Fazlik Negan. What draws you as an artist to operating under character names or pseudonyms?
When I came to Belgrade, immediately I understood that I needed to make a fool of myself if I wanted to attract attention. And it was not very big sacrifice for me. I used to do it all the life. Despite being a student, I introduced myself as a working laborer and chose the most usual name for the laborer and some most stupid name we couldn't invent at that time. It is Rambo Amadeus, like most absurd. That two identities protect myself from the unhealthy ambition for success, in show business. It was for me really big joke. But what I more made fun with myself and others, that absurdly lead to my popularity, Rambo Amadeus, absurd name. It was, I think, cool because later in the West, I noticed that some porno actress named Carmen Electra, she was also combined,
Yeah.
And later Fatboy Slim, And when I heard first time for Fatboy Slim, I said, oh, cool.
Did you ever try to get a collaboration with Carmen Electra to feature on a song?
Well, I got a wife, it should be explainable,
Fair.
All pop culture is just juggling with commonplaces, My first concert was a concert for 28 vacuum cleaners in Belgrade Cultural Center. And that inspired me to make a thing with a concept. If something is commonplace, it can be used for some point,
Can you explain to our listeners what turbo folk is and what your critique of the genre is? Some critics have associated it with Milosevic and authoritarianism, but I understand you disagree with that.
My definition of turbo folk is quite broader than just the music. Turbo folk is the uncritical use of technology. Technology advances, but ethics and philosophy and taste lag behind. With a sudden shift into capitalism, people started opening radio and TV stations like a fast food kiosk, playing music that had previously only been heard in rural taverns. Liberalization of the media results of the primitivization of media. When you take a singer who performs in a tavern, put her on a big stage with the makeup, light shows, laser, massive sound systems, cyber costumes, you got a turbo folk. But today, for example, we see the absurdity of social media being predominantly used to spread nonsense, hate speech, and conspiracy theories. Wonderful technological invention in uncritical hands, that is turbo folk.
The lyric to Balkan Boy and the music video to Euro Nero both tell the story of this Balkan boy who gets drawn in by the shallow pleasures of capitalism. Do you see those two stories as related?
Honestly, I never thought about that, but you are right. I can't escape from myself.
The best artists are that way.
European integration, the modern ethics of Western society on one side, and on other side is traditional values.
Yeah.
And that is confusing. I didn't plan to explain that confusion. I just wanted to express that I'm confused.
Moving to the album M91.
My album was made before the war in 1990. Although anyone with common sense could sense that war was coming, we still couldn't believe it would actually happen. I remember I had a big, old, luxurious black Mercedes, the kind used by politicians. We were mixing the album on March 7, 1991, during the massive protests against Milosevic when tanks were rolled out into the street. The black Mercedes was full of musicians and instruments, and the police chased us down. A special forces unit stopped us right in the middle of the city, thinking that one of the opposition leaders was in that politician Mercedes. They were disappointed, when they saw punks and hippies coming out of the car, pulling instruments out. People were desperately looking for the parties and fun and humor. I'm very lucky guy because I was crazy a lot before of that. And I couldn't become more crazy. Maybe I become more crazy, but I can't know.
You have these songs like Priatelju, obviously a very overtly political and confrontational song. Some other ones engage with politics but are much more playful, like Jemo Voli Jem, about the soldier who loves jam.
Well, in that time, huge hit was Pump Up the Jam.
Hilarious. I didn't make that connection.
In disco club, etc., some of guys like very much to, on a wrong way, singing original English song. When the Pump Up the Jam starting to play, one of the guys said, Jamo Voli Jam, Jamo Voli Jam. And I said, oh, very nice point. I'm going to make song.
In the 90s, you were touring the newly independent Balkan nations. And I think you were the first Montenegrin performer to visit post-war Bosnia.
I arrived there a year before Belašević. But since I called myself Rambo, I felt a bit inappropriate for me to hide behind Umprov. My drummer Goran and I started the car and we drove through Umpur for checkpoints on our own without an escort. We felt some tense until we got on the stage. But once we did, the audience were, wow, ludilo then.
Can you talk about your collaboration with Åsne Seierstad and how that came about?
Grodde meg ut på Seiergrunnen, det var om morgonen tidlig.
She came to Belgrade. She was wandering around the small number of the foreigners in the city, and her kindness made it so that my great friend and poet Skanda, she and I met several times. I told her that I would give an interview for her book, but only if she sang as a guest of my song. Even though it was total lottery how she would sing or what she would. But however, in my conceptual work, I really didn't matter. It didn't matter how she sang.
That's amazing.
As someone who grew up in Norway, Åsne Seierstad is a name you know very well. She's released a bunch of books. She's a journalist, but not known for being a singer.
I talk to her about all sorts of things, mostly joking, but still careful not to let my own words come back to haunt me later.
Yeah, you got to be careful around those journalists.
Later, I looked at her book and my interview inside, and I saw some completely twisted and falsified sentences.
Oh, really?
I couldn't have said even in my dreams, and it was like an unpleasant experience. Later, I heard that she was in Iraq and used to live in some family. I heard it was also an unpleasant experience for that.
For them too.
Yes.
Oh, really? You should just re-edit her song.
Re-edit her song with her worst takes.
All were same.
In the late 90s, you announced that you were leaving music. Why did you want to leave, and why did you eventually decide to come back?
My wife was pregnant, and we have a small child, and I decided to grow children in some, calmer place, But
yeah.
I was not thinking enough good. Then I fixed to go to Amsterdam. I don't know, maybe because of hashish. I can't explain now.
That's
And
it.
I
A
made
good reason.
I made that Kiss Me Goodbye concert, leave money to wife, and go in Amsterdam like first to start to work. And after a few days, I start to work as a physical laborer. I was like demolition man. I liked it very
Yeah.
much. I demolished, walls in the houses, etc. It was for my nerves. It was super.
In your music, you demolished wars, and then later you demolished walls.
Well, I would like to make something good,
Yeah.
to make something nice.
Yeah.
But somehow, if you want to be honest artist, you can't make a song as some kind of commercial product.
Right.
Song has to be your inner conflict, inner fire, and some kind of autotherapy. Then my wife came after 6 months, pregnant, but my wife couldn't stand that I don't have an engineer's income, just physical income. And she said, no, I'm going to birth my baby to my doctor in Belgrade. And I couldn't say anything about that, like
Yeah.
she got decision and I decided to be with her, and that's all. And Prince Hassan, it was Prince Hassan, the best hashish in Amsterdam.
Well, you can always go back occasionally, pick it up,
This year I were like 3 days and I didn't smoke. I said,
oh, not even that Prince Hassan.
because I couldn't find it. I didn't want to try another shits.
Yeah.
My wife sent me directly from Amsterdam to Slovenia to make 3 concerts. Year after that was bombing of the Serbia. I sent family to Austria, to auntie, and that's it.
Can you talk about the inspiration and process of writing Euro Nero?
Director of national TV invited me and said, we haven't been on Eurovision a few years. We want to attract attention on Montenegro as a touristical destination. We now have that logo, Wild Beauty, and we need the beast to promote the beauty, He didn't say that. I understood it like that, I said, okay, do you know what kind of music I make? And that because I can't win, I'm making the song, maybe I will be the last. He said, no, last place, no problem, just attract attention. And I understood that as a dream job,
As someone who went to Eurovision, as a critic of it as much as a competitor, what was your experience of the contest like?
My view was not changed. That's kitsch, sense, effects, some dancers jumping around. It was boring,
Yeah.
But I was impressed with the Baku because the caviar was ridiculously cheap. In some shack across from the hotel. In those 15 days, I probably ate 5 kilos of caviar. And I spent a lot of time on the toilet.
Oh my God.
As for Eurovision itself, I showed up there jokingly with a fake beard that I borrowed from the Belgrade Opera. When I met the head of the stage for the first time, I had the fake beard on. I remember he was genuinely impressed with my approach. I arrived in a truck with a wooden Trojan donkey that we had made in a workshop on a suburb of Baku. Meanwhile, the Montenegrin official delegation was getting out from the luxury Mercedes again, and that stage manager was waiting for me in the front of the Mercedes. And obviously astonished to see a guy with a fake beard carrying a wooden donkey who was supposed to perform on Eurovision, calling himself Rambo Amadeus, Later, he asked me very politely to lend him a fake beard, and he wore it proudly all day, Good guy, very good guy, clearly familiar with English humor, even though he was English.
That's absolutely incredible.
Now, Euro Nero is about the Eurozone debt crisis, but more broadly discusses the tensions between the local national identity and pan-European identity. This is also a tension at the heart of Eurovision. In what ways do you see Eurovision as a metaphor for the struggles of European integration?
I hope the taste of the Europe is a bit better than aesthetic forced upon Eurovision, But maybe that's where the catch lies.
Yeah.
Eurovision doesn't tolerate original authorship. It insists on perfect interpretation, costumes, light show, stage movements. It resembles more of a rhythmic gymnastic competition than a music festival. If we translate this to politics, it would mean that the EU expects candidates to perfectly imitate EU standards instead of allowing for the true integration in a philosophical, social, and political level.
Related to that, one of the things we talk about on this podcast a lot is Eurovision's increasing struggles in the face of a fracturing Europe and the rise of right-wing nationalism. So do you think that this nationalist backlash that we're seeing now was caused by the way European integration was attempted? And what do you think went wrong with the process of European integration that now so many countries are reacting to?
Well, the political pendulum always swings. During the World War II, it was the right wing, very right, After that, in 60s, 70s, hippie, everything goes left. I wanted to be smart, but I'm not. You're making me be serious, and that's...
You don't want to be...
I think the real problem is that all ideologies are dead now. Ecology didn't bring yet new ideology, but step by step, I think that ecology will become a new ideology.
Focusing on Montenegro, do you think more integration into European institutions such as the EU is good for the country? And are you happy to see the country back in Eurovision?
Please, Europe community is necessary for us. I hope that this delay of 13 years is not made by my song. I hope that my song is confirming my wish to connect, to be part of the EU.
On the other side, how worried are you about Vucic? Seemingly more and more he's talking about a greater Serbia again and all of this.
I was worried in 1991 about Yugoslavia, the country I was born in. I don't understand why everyone is surprised now. Yugoslavia skillfully contained the territorial ambitions of all members. He maybe believes that he can finally achieve that. But he's just talking, while the border crossing between Albania and Kosovo have already been removed.
You've branched out as an artist over the years, writing film scores, acting, and even doing voice work on The Lion King. How do these different artistic modes inform each other and your songwriting, if at all?
No, they don't. It is like you got a garden, and produce tomato and pomodoro and cabbage, and you are not worried that pomodoro will somehow influence on the cabbage.
What's next for the garden? What's next for you?
Well, I am preparing for the internal life.
That's good.
I load all my stuff to the net, then I think that is the way I will live forever. If you are artist and you got some kind of ego, because without ego you can't be artist. Yeah. What is better for the ego than to put him somewhere to... Yes. Artificial intelligence is for now super tool. I tried him to help me about lyrics.
Oh, really? How did that go?
Not very well.
Rambo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
A great conversation.
All the mysteries of the Euroverse.